Hi, this is Ginny, and this is another episode of Bisaya in America. So the topic for today will be about the corona. I'm not making light of the situation. The coronavirus has really affected all of us and probably will continue to affect all of us. Maybe for a long, long time. Who knows? A lot can happen, and we still don't know anything about the virus. It's always my philosophy that there's always a point of view, that we're entitled to our own point of view, and I'm not making light of this, but I just wanted to share my experience with the coronavirus because I had it in July of last year, and it was no fun. Anyway, I remember back in 2019, around December 2019 and January 2020, around that time, I was in home health and I was living and working in New Mexico at that time. And one of our patients, she was really paranoid and she wouldn't let me in. So we discharged her from our facility, and she was my home health patient. And when I remember knocking on her door, and then she was very cautious and she opened it up like a peek. And then she said, she was really paranoid about it. And I asked her, can I go inside? You have sessions with me. I'm a physical therapist, and I wanted to do the sessions because she was having issues with walking. And anyway, she looked like she was really paranoid, and she said, "You can't go inside. I'm not feeling well." And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And she said, "Have you seen the CNN, the news recently?" And I said, "Yeah, I think the coronavirus, I think I have it." And I remember at that time I was like, "But it's in China." And she said, "Yeah, but it's here," she said. So I remember I reported this to my supervisors, and we had it in a meeting, and we were laughing about it. Literally, we were like, ha ha ha, it's in China, it's not coming here, not in New Mexico, and stuff like that. And it was I had no idea how wrong I was. And I remember we had a coworker, and he was going to Mexico, and I did a prank, being a prankster that I am. So I put all the PPEs and stuff, and be careful and stuff like that. I was making light of it at that time. I had no idea that it literally would become a pandemic. But that's the thing, you make light of certain situations, not expecting that, oh, okay, that wasn't such a good idea. And which reminds me, a couple years ago, I would watch episodes of Doomsday Preppers, and on YouTube there's episodes as well, people raising bunny rabbits so that they would eat them, not as pets, and people just preparing for doomsday. And I remember one particular episode on YouTube. I don't know if it was an episode of Doomsday Preppers or it was just a YouTube show. And there was this woman somewhere in New Mexico, and she had a bunker, and she had food for 5 years. And I remember watching that, I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. Those people are crazy. Nah, I think those people are insane. And well, who's wrong now? So I just remember, when I would watch Doomsday Preppers, I'm like, those people are insane. We're not going to hide in bunkers. Yep. So I was proven wrong. So anyway, sometime in March, so that's when the thing really hit the fan, And I remember I was panicking because I moved to Texas, and I was just here for a week or two, and suddenly they were saying oh no, we're going to shut down everything. And I was panicking. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I went to the grocery store. I think it was a Walmart. And I remember that there were no more toilet papers, and there was no more there was no more hand sanitizers. I was freaking out. And would you believe it? There was no more chicken. So everything was gone except like I think shrimp, there was still shrimp and stuff, but the chicken was gone. I'm like, oh, okay. And the milk and the eggs were gone. I'm like, okay. Mental note to self. Next time, when there's a shutdown or like the whole world shuts down, so I have to take note that chicken is going to be in high demand and stuff, especially toilet paper too. And I remember I was like, oh my God, I didn't prepare for Doomsday. I literally didn't have toilet paper. And I'm like, dude, what am I going to do? And then I remember I drove, I had a tip from one of my coworkers. She told me, you have to go to this part of Texas. It's going to be far, but I'm sure they have toilet paper. And they didn't have toilet paper. I drove there, but they did have chicken. So it wasn't like it was worth traveling to, like 30 minutes or so. It was in the outskirts, And I remember like I was panicking, I was freaking out, and I was just taking random stuff. I'm like, what? How do you prepare for Doomsday? What do you buy? They don't have a manual for it. And I remember grabbing popcorn, and I'm like, looking back, it doesn't make sense because, like, if there's no electricity, how are you going to pop the popcorn? I was grabbing sardines. I'm like, I'm going to live off sardines and tuna and stuff. And I got tortillas, and I think I got chips as well. I was just freaking out. I didn't know what to do. And it was just like, I was overwhelmed, but there was no toilet paper. I was like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. I don't have toilet paper. But there was paper towels. So I'm like, I had to use paper towels. You have to. And it was horrible, horrible. But you know what? After like a few days, because I was like, I joined a forum. I'm like, where do we find toilet paper? I actually got lucky because in one of the CVS stores, which is close by, the CVS pharmacy or store, whatever, they actually had toilet paper. And I was like, I bought like a bunch of them. I'm like, dude, I'm never going to let this pass again and stuff. And I found, like, I befriended someone that owned a restaurant, and I said, please help me find like a hand sanitizer and stuff. And then since he owned a restaurant, apparently they have restaurant supply stores. And then I just gave him the money, and he gave me like a gallon of, it's a huge gallon. It's still around. It's like, I haven't really used up a lot, but I'm not throwing it out, I don't know when it's going to expire though. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy that you don't prepare for the pandemic, and like, and it's crazy that the Doomsday Preppers are the most prepared. And but now I know that you got to have water. Don't buy popcorn. You got to have rice or anything that lasts longer, a pasta and stuff like that. I'm really thinking about buying one of those. I already bought a 5-year water, like it's a 5 water that doesn't expire. I don't know if water expires though, does it? But it says it good for 5 years, so I'm going to put it in my car's trunk just in case. Also thinking about buying the 5 or 10 year food and stuff, and I'm just going to store it somewhere, maybe in my trunk or so. Who knows, And candles, you got to have candles and matches and stuff like that, because who knows, like, what else can happen. But lesson learned, got to have the toilet paper. Don't buy popcorn. And I remember, I think I bought Spam. I'm like, dude, like, what kind of canned goods should I buy? Because I was overwhelmed. So I bought Spam. I don't really eat Spam, and it's nasty. I mean, I used to like it as a child, but it's literally nasty. But for some reason, that's all I could think of. Like, I gotta buy Spam. These things last forever. So I actually ate a can, and I'm like, ooh, okay, I don't miss it. So definitely maybe beans, dried beans, rice, pasta, anything that's dried and can last for years. Yeah, because we don't know when the next doomsday will come around. And I remember sometime around that time in March, so they shut down everything in Texas. And since I was an essential healthcare worker or essential worker, I was able to drive around, and I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. That is the benefit of people quarantining and stuff. There's literally no traffic, and I was just in and out, and it was kind of eerie, though, because I'm like, I don't think this place is usually this, this quiet, but it's kind of freaky that the first day of the shutdown, like, I was allowed to go to work, and literally the highway there was just a few cars and stuff. And I don't know why the other cars were driving around too, because at that time, I think they were gonna detain or arrest you if they caught you and you're not an essential healthcare worker or essential worker or anything or something like that. So it was kind of freaky. I'm like, dude, this is so freaky. I'm expecting the zombies to pop out. Luckily, there was no zombies. And at this time, I was already high-strung and paranoid, and I was washing my groceries and disinfecting. And dude, there was no Lysol too. Until now, I don't know if I can still find Lysol, but literally the Lysol disappeared from the shelves. So I remember washing everything before taking it in, and I was hand washing 20 seconds, the excessive hand washing thing. Another thing, the people with OCD, 2020 was their time, and the people that were introverts, 2020, they had a blast. Those people, they literally were meant to survive 2020, the people that were excessively hand washing. So I became that. And for months and months, I was paranoid. I was like, don't go near me. I won't go near that. And I wore gloves when I was refueling and stuff. And I had hand sanitizer. I was really crazy, paranoid. And then, whoa, when I got it in July, I was just mad. I'm like, dude, what happened? I thought we wore PPEs and the precautions were good and stuff like that. But that's the thing, you can let your guard down. And I think we let our guard down during lunch, because during lunchtime, you're not supposed to talk to people. You're supposed to be antisocial. But we weren't like that because we trusted each other that none of us were infected. But apparently someone was infected, and then we just infected each other. And I think 3 of us got it in our facility and not in our facility, but 3 in our department. And another one got sick later on. And also, we had other staff members from other departments that got sick, and we literally had patients that, unfortunately, they didn't make it. And that's the thing, because there's people that have survived COVID and have gotten symptoms like the mild symptoms of COVID, and they're all good. They're good. But that's what I don't like, though, is when people that survived it and then it was mild. Mine was moderate. I was sick as a puppy. I was so lucky I didn't wind up in the hospital, but literally. And the people that got it, and they got it really mild form of it, and they're saying it's COVID's not real or something. I'm like, dude, you got COVID. And I'm like, I remember there's a bunch of people that, I'm not going to reveal their identities because they know I do podcasting. Anyway, they're saying oh, it's nothing. And then they literally had people in their family that got COVID but died. And then they're saying oh, they would have died anyway. And I'm like, dude, that's the thing. And I really want to explain it to people. It's okay, so what if they didn't get COVID? Would they have died prematurely, or would they have died in 2 weeks? So you see, especially in the building that I used to work in 2 weeks, there was almost a dozen that died, one after the other, patients that we had. And if they didn't have COVID, would they have not died within those 2 weeks? So that's the correlation there. You use logic, but then people are saying, nah, they were going to die anyway. I'm like, dude, it's like, when someone gets stabbed and they didn't really die because right away because of the stab wound. They died because they bled or they lost blood. So are you going to say that stabbing didn't cause them to die? So that really just breaks my brain that people are taking this lightly, because it's not something that's to be taken lightly, although, you got to live your life and stuff, but people are not taking this, a lot of people are not taking this seriously. And, a lot of people are questioning like, oh, why should I wear a mask? So that because this thing is so contagious, and I've lived through this. It's literally by talking to someone, and when someone is infected, and then the droplets that they spew from their mouth, and you inhale it. That's how you get it. I know people in my group, one of them was not feeling well, but this particular person joined like a dinner or a lunch or whatever. It was a gathering, and half of the people in the group got it and the person that was sitting beside that person didn't get sick because there were no droplets that were sprayed directly to that person, It gets spread by talking to someone. So literally, when you mask up, maybe it's not 100% foolproof, but it helps reduce the spread, because we all know there was a study in CNN. There was an article in CNN about a gym owner, and he added like new ventilation systems and stuff. And literally, he traced people that were in that gym. They never got COVID because of the ventilation, the better ventilation. And I think that's the key. I think better ventilation, because we all know this gets spread in weddings, in gatherings, going to church, and there was an entire choir, I think, that got sick. It's like your droplets, When you talk to someone, the droplets and stuff gets released. And the thing about this, some people could be still not be sick yet, might not have symptoms yet, and they spread it to someone else. So that's what happened to us in our group. I don't know who was sick, but it was someone that was sick, and someone that we let our guard down, and we started talking and chatting during lunch, and that was it, and we kept laughing about it. I mean, we try to make light of the situation, and we always say, oh, I have corona brain or something like that. Oh, I had the COVID rash. I literally did have the COVID rash, though. I still continue to have like a weird rash that randomly pops in and out. So, and the thing about my corona it was neurological. Like, it affected my brain, because I never get migraines. Literally, if I get a headache, it'd be so rare. Like, it would be like once in a blue moon. But when I had corona, I had all the symptoms, fever, like getting sick, puking and stuff like that, very weak. But the worst symptom I had was severe pain. It was like migraine, severe form of migraine that I was like, I don't know how I survived it, literally, because it was unlike any headache and migraine that I've experienced in my life. And I was like, okay, I think it's time to go to a hospital now. But no, because they said that unless you have like trouble breathing, I did have shortness of breath, but I think the virus just infected my brain for some reason, which is like, is it really a good thing? It's like, do you need your brain? I think so. But the lungs, so I don't know if I dodged a bullet or anything, because I need both, a brain and healthy brain and lungs. But a few months later, I just noticed, like, for several months, I was just like, I had short-term memory loss. One time I was like wearing 2 masks because I forgot that I already wore one. It was kind of weird. And then I would like just be like, I don't remember doing this, but this is weird because I'm really, I meditate daily and I've meditated for years. So I'm very present and in the moment. But to just have a memory gap and not know what happened, that was freaking me out. And I think like I've recovered from it, but I had like confusion between the numbers 9 and 6 and 3 and 5. It was just all flipped in my mind or my head. It was so weird. And I'm not dyslexic by any means. Like, so it's doing something funky in my brain. So I don't want, of course, I'm glad I survived it because not many people have. And we have family, friends that have not survived it. And it's horrible. But, you know, you also need your brain to function. And yeah, it is scary, and we are on scary times right now. And yeah, and also about the people being afraid of the vaccine, I can't blame them because I know people that have had severe reaction to the vaccine, so I'm like sort of 50-50 about that too. But I had gotten vaccinated because I didn't want to get it again. I don't want to get the corona again, not in a severe form. And, you know, but I know why some people are hesitant to get vaccinated. So it really is their decision, whatever they decide, that is their decision ultimately. But yeah, it's like it's between risk-gain assessment. So you got to look at the risks and the gains. In my case, because I went through a horrible, horrible experience with corona. It was like horrible. I wouldn't want to get it again. So I guess I got the vaccine, and hopefully I don't grow a third ear. Not that we should. I don't know. So it's like literally right now, like it seems like the people that we shunned before, those with OCD, and the people that were always like, oh, this is the end of times, the Bible thumpers, like, yeah, repent, repent. And those that had bunkers and like was just preparing for doomsday. And people that were introverts, those are the people that really thrived in 2020. And I think they're continuing to thrive until now, 2021. And I can't blame them. They're like most equipped for this. But for people that, like me, like I'm very outgoing, I like to socialize, I like to go out and stuff like that. That was like, it was really bad. Like 2020 was like, it was like, oh no, the party stopped. So the entire year of 2020, it was like bad. It was literally bad, and it affected everybody. And I'm really glad that we have it behind us now, I hope. But it also made me realize that humanity had 100 years to prepare for this, but no one literally was prepared. And it made me realize as well that humanity, instead of coming together, they're just not. Because like this corona has nothing to do with, it doesn't pick and choose. It's like if you're human and you're immunocompromised or you're high risk, it's going to get you, you know, when you're exposed. So kind of disappointed that the countries didn't come together and help each other and just have like a solution for the whole world, you know? Because right now we have like spots that don't have corona, but spots that do, and then spots that are, their numbers are going down, but now spots in other countries that their numbers are going up, because it's like, it's going to continue to be this way because other countries are not helping each other. You know, we're in this together, unfortunately, because this is a virus that doesn't know any borders. It just wants a host. It just will infect people. And it's very contagious. Based on my experience, I have not seen anything this contagious in my life. I remember on the week that we got exposed, literally like we had close to a dozen patients that went to the hospital one after the other, and it was freaky because the how fast and how quick it spread. It was like, I've never seen anything like it. And it's nothing like the flu. It literally is not, because I have not gotten the flu at all. You know, I get the flu shots, but I literally have not had the flu. But this one, the COVID, when you are exposed and when your immune system is not really working good, or in my case, I think I used to have a vitamin D deficiency. So that probably there's a correlation there that needs to be explored, because I was getting sick a lot in 2019. I was working with peds, babies and toddlers, and they have all sorts of germs and stuff, and they have all sorts of sicknesses, and I was getting sick a lot. So I know that my immune system is not the greatest. But yeah, it's just disappointing that people around the world, like, they're blaming it on a certain group of people, but yeah, it may have come from there, but the more reason we should have come together as human beings, like from around different nations from around the world, coming together to curb this, to stop this, to find solutions. But what happened was that people were just it's every man for himself practically. So it's like the toilet paper shortage. We would not have had a paper shortage at all because there was enough supply. It was just people were freaking out. They were taking out more than they needed. They weren't thinking about other people, and that's it. That really explains, if we have another pandemic, all nations should have sort of a United Nations coalition. Every nation should have we should have rules, like, what if there's another outbreak of another virus and stuff? All nations should join and just stop it, and maybe even if it's like, in that case, before it was like in a particular it was just in a particular city where that first outbreak happened, and yeah, so the rest of the world should just maybe support that part with an outbreak, that part of the world with an outbreak economically for like several months until it's curbed, because right now it's affecting everybody economically anyway, and it's causing trillions and trillions of dollars of losses. So why not spend all that money as the globe to stop and curtail another outbreak? So there should be something in place, it just policies in place, not just for one country, but for every country, every nation, because like, as we have seen, this is not going to go away if people are not united. And it's the same in the United States too. It's literally an example of one state doing one thing and another state doing another. So the one state might be doing better, the other might not be doing better, because it's like they don't really care about the other states or something. It's just like, oh, I just care about my state. But that's not it. That's not how you defeat this thing. It's like coming together. I don't know if you guys are into sci-fi, but I remember that movie Independence Day. Of course, it's not about viruses or anything, but it was about an alien invasion, and it was one of the best movies ever. It was about humanity coming together and just fighting a single enemy, and stopping all the bickering and stuff, just coming together. That was a good example. And I know it's a movie and it's fiction, but this is real life. That's why we have a brain, that's why we were given mental faculties, because we're supposed to be problem solvers. Human beings are meant to be problem solvers, but what happened was that no one's doing any problem solving, and people all over the world are just bickering amongst themselves. We should just come together, all together, for a solution. And I don't know, maybe I'm just idealistic, but yeah, I was one of the people affected. I don't know. I mean, hopefully my brain is still good and it will continue to be good because literally I need my brain. But hopefully, and to the people that are long haulers, I feel ya. Yeah, no one really believes us sometimes. Like they're saying, like, "Oh, it's imagined." I'm like, dude, it's real. Like I literally have still lingering symptoms and stuff. And I remember my friend Art, and he got it early in April or May. And I remember, like, I asked him, like, how was it? How was it getting the corona and stuff like that? Because at that time, he didn't want to really tell people that he had it. And he was like, it was pretty bad and just wait and see. And I'm like, what? Like, and he really scared me. And in a way, he prepared me. He said it's like nothing that you've ever experienced in your life. It's just different. I mean, to people that have had the mild COVID, good for you. You know, that's good. But there's people that had moderate to severe symptoms. So, you know, one virus doesn't affect everybody equally. So it's different for everybody. It's a different experience for everybody. So it doesn't mean that you have to put people down when they're like, they're exaggerating. No, we're not exaggerating. It's real. It literally is real. And yeah, I don't know why people are still denying that it exists. It exists. I went through it. Yeah, if you want me to write down or write a book about it, I will. It exists, and it can literally be devastating to some, and to some it might not even be anything, because I have friends that they didn't know they had it. They suspected they had it. And then they did check their antibodies and stuff, and they tested positive for the antibodies of corona. So they had it. They just had it mild. Yeah. But to people that don't see the correlation, oh, please. Like, I don't think there's, if you don't see the correlation between a higher risk of dying from getting an infection, it's just, I don't know, that's your choice. But as for me, I like to observe patterns, and I'm very observant. And yeah, I just see a pattern, you know? And I don't know about the people, why they can't see a pattern and why they're denying it exists. It literally exists. So anyway, thank you for listening. And I'm going to put the links to the show notes below. And I'm also an author. You can check out my books. I'm a writer of romantic comedies. Go to www.homeofgenie.com, HOMEOFGENIE.com. And if you have anything to say, just be kind, just be nice, just be funny. You can email me at homeofgenie@gmail.com and just put a heading there, the podcast, Bisaya in America, comment. Because sometimes I get emails and I want to know like where it's coming from. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.